So we planted down here kind of an Aztec trio or companion planting type of thing. We planted some special beans that I bought, and we also had girasol, which is sunflower, and we put in corn. And those three did very well together. I think normally people use squash in with that mix, but I think there's a few mixes we can do. In Garden 0, down in the barranca, kind of off near the fence, we've got a huge amount of success with these white borages here. Normally borage is a purple flower, this one's white. It's kind of fun to have both. We'll probably even try and cross them. Down here there's also some cabbage we got that was special cabbage, so that's survived. And maybe it won't be, I don't know what will happen as far as the fruit of it goes, whether it'll be tasty this year, but what I care about is the seeds. So I want the seeds of this this plant. I'm probably the only guy around here that has them, and cabbages generally do pretty well here. With the kohlrabis, another problem has been that cows come on the property occasionally because the fences break, and they really like to eat the kohlrabi, which is interesting. They think it's very healthy. We did just find down here in Garden 0, or next to it, a whole little patch of a bunch of little kohlrabis. The nice thing is that nothing's eaten these yet, no tusas, no cows, and they made it through the dry season. So we should be able to get seeds off of these. They did so well last year that it could be within 2 years we have kohlrabi all the time, and it also keeps very well. It would do really well in a root cellar, so and has a pretty long growing season. So this could be a really excellent exotic food source for us all year round. And because we've done this in such a difficult way by not watering it, we can learn that this is a food we don't have to put other energy into. So the only way you can find out about situations in which you don't have to do a lot of work to keep a plant going is to have many gardens which are failures. You're looking for those edge cases, either microclimates or special soil conditions and time of year to plant, where you can do it without additional resources. Food preservation techniques actually make it so that you don't have to have everything growing in as long a season. You can go with what nature has to offer you in terms of your climate and your water, and then you can get lots at that time and, for example, dry it or can it or find other ways to preserve it for later in the year. It's a great way to build variety into a permaculture diet, which otherwise, with these methods, would be extremely boring, since so far there's not a huge variety of things we're able to produce. In this tiny garden called Quiroga, has oregano in big lines. We have infinite oregano, as much as we want. So we'll let this grow, we'll collect the seeds, and we'll use this great plant. It might be that instead of having lawns, we could actually have oregano spots, and then it would smell good when people walked on them. We could have maybe trails of oregano. It's a hardy plant. La idea es para poner esos en senderos, porque están fuertes y vamos a tener tan mucho. Por este año no necesitamos ponerlos tal vez, pero porque yo quiero las semillas.
Se va a llenar el jardín este, mira, es mucho.
Sí, este va a ser completamente lleno, yo creo. Perfecto. Down here in an unmarked garden, we have really nice success, or success in progress hopefully, of collard greens. I had one collard green plant only, and it was killed by a local mole called a tusa. But just before it died, it was able to produce seeds, luckily. We planted them down here, and these have lived throughout the dry season. That means that this might be a good spot for kale, and if we can get these to ever produce seed, which could take 2 years, 3 years, then we'll be doing pretty good. So over here in the garden called Cancun, we find a whole bunch of parsley. Parsley en español es qué?
Perejil.
Perejil. So we have a great success in this sense with perejil. We'll keep this as a perejil garden, and there could even be seeds on the ground from this. ¿Colectamos semillas de este? Oh, no.
Tenemos semillas.
Okay, so we also got seeds. Here's an onion that is going to go to seed, so we'll start to get seeds off of that. Each time we take a plant like this and we collect the seeds and then plant them, the seeds that come up will be the ones that are more fit for this place. They were able to reproduce. That'll be the first part of their evolutionary changes. So then, each generation that gets planted and grows, that plant will become more acclimatized to this location. Right now the onions we eat are so bred out from the original, they're so different, that they have a hard time reproducing on their own. So we have to really look for a spot where they can make it at all. Is this a dill? In a garden called Uxmal, U-X-M-A-L, we have some broccolis that are still existing. They're in pretty bad shape, and it looks like something was eaten, maybe a rabbit or something, and they're very dry. But they might make it. Down here next to Uxmal, a different part of it, we've got a spot where there's Brussels sprouts. I've never liked Brussels sprouts, but some people do, and they've survived through the dry season. On this little tour, I can't show you many pretty plants, but the big win is that they survived it all with no help. The rainbow chard also seems to do well in the spots where we burned to make charcoal. Lettuce, we're not sure what it is. It's just in one of the burn spots, but a few of them have actually survived. They never did go to seed because they were put in at the last rains. But this year they should survive, and I don't even know which lettuce that is. We tried out quite a few. Borage, it hasn't done as well in this garden is down below. And then we also find some lavender that made it through the year. Here we've got a Monrubio plant, and over here we've got some lavenders. We still need to collect the seeds on some of these. We could end up losing them. But hopefully it'll also reseed itself. It's looking pretty thirsty, but it survived. Down in the gardens, Puebla and some other towns, there's a mix of flowers. We don't know if they're going to come back or not. We'll leave this particular garden here and just see what happens. The garden here, called Paracho, we had beans in it, peas, and squash. We don't think any of those are going to come back in this spot, so we'll go ahead and plant that one new this year. Sophia has a really nice kind of bean that should come back. Jenny has the same bean over at her place. The garden called Toluca also has the beans that should come up on their own. So we'll see. The garden called Yunwen had spinach in it, but it was put in too late to get seeds, so that's a garden that's available. And we'll just plant earlier this year to get what we want. Success is a special type of arugula. I have to watch my step in here. The success is a special type of arugula. It has a much stronger flavor. So we'll have to look in our records and find out what arugula we planted down here in the garden called Yotatiro. In the garden called Yotatiro, we have an excellent success. The Yotatiro garden also has some little baby onions coming up. It's nice to see that we have more than just the one we found earlier. Quite a bit of a fungus here that grows on the stumps. This is the first year I've seen it, and I've seen it in a few places. It's a white fungus, but if you just break its really delicate skin, then it's full of brown spores. And it ends up being kind of oblong always on stumps. I've seen probably 6 of them now in different areas. The little garden called San Pedro had a purple lettuce, but the plants never got very big. They were extremely small. So that's either a failure and we won't try it again, or we'll try a different way. But purple lettuce didn't do so great. Maybe planting it earlier would do it. Called Luna also has more examples of purple lettuces which died. Entonces, ¿podemos sembrar otra vez este?
Ya.
Okay. Entonces, Luna y San Pedro vamos a sembrar. Some kind of a mustard type of lettuce we planted here, and there's seeds still left here. ¿Colectamos las semillas? Miles. And we got lots and lots of seeds. So that mostaza, mustard, whatever it was, should be a great success. We should have as much of it as we want. One of our goals down here will be to define some trails so that people can walk through these garden areas without trampling everything. That's pretty important.